The Ferrari sat silently on the side of the road, its red paint gleaming under the afternoon sun, a cruel contrast to the frustration on the face of the man standing beside it. Adrian Blackwell, a self-made millionaire known for buying companies before breakfast and flying private before dinner, stared at the open hood like it had personally betrayed him. His phone showed no signal. For the first time in years, money, power, and influence meant absolutely nothing. Just as he let out a sharp breath of irritation, a soft voice broke the silence. "My dad can fix it," the little girl whispered. Adrian turned, startled, and that single sentence would change both of their lives forever. Before the story goes any further, if moments that touch the heart and remind us what really matters mean something to you, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. These stories don't just entertain, they stay with you. The girl couldn't have been more than 7. She stood a few feet away, holding a worn pink backpack, her dark hair tied into uneven pigtails. Beside her was an old bicycle and a man in faded clothes, his hands stained with oil and grease. Adrian almost laughed at the irony. His Ferrari, worth more than most houses, had broken down, and now a child was offering help. "That's kind of you," Adrian said, forcing a polite smile. "But this isn't exactly a bike problem." The girl looked up at him seriously. "Daddy fixes cars all the time. Rich ones too. Sometimes richer people are the easiest," she said, nodding confidently toward the Ferrari. Her father stepped forward, clearly embarrassed. "I'm sorry, sir. Kids talk. I'm just a roadside mechanic. I help when people break down around here." Adrian hesitated. He had spent his life trusting contracts, lawyers, and certified experts, not strangers on empty roads. But the heat was rising, his schedule was destroyed, and something about the girl's certainty made him pause. "All right," he said finally. "You can take a look." The man worked quietly, his movements calm and practiced. The girl sat on a rock nearby, swinging her legs and humming. Adrian watched, arms crossed, checking his expensive watch every few minutes. After 10 minutes, the man wiped his hands. "It's the fuel sensor. Happens when systems are too smart for their own good. I can reset it." A few moments later, the engine roared back to life. Adrian froze. He hadn't expected it to be that simple. "That's impressive," Adrian admitted, reaching for his wallet. He pulled out several large bills, far more than the repair deserved. The man shook his head. "I don't charge like that. Just enough to get by." Adrian frowned. No one ever refused his money. Before he could insist, the little girl tugged on her father's sleeve. "Daddy, you forgot your wish," she whispered loudly. Adrian raised an eyebrow. "Wish?" Her father sighed softly. "She thinks if she helps someone, she can make a wish. Been like that since her mom passed." The girl looked up at Adrian, eyes wide but hopeful. "I wish my dad didn't look so tired all the time." The words hit Adrian harder than any business loss ever had. He felt something tighten in his chest. The girl smiled shyly and added, "And I wish he had a real garage instead of fixing cars on the road." Adrian didn't respond right away. He simply nodded, thanked them again, and drove off. But the image of that child and her wish followed him all the way back to the city. That night, for the first time in years, he couldn't sleep. He thought about his own childhood, wealthy but empty, raised by nannies, praised for success, but rarely hugged. He realized he couldn't remember the last time someone wished for his happiness instead of his money. A week later, the roadside mechanic returned home to find a black SUV parked outside his small house. Panic filled his chest until Adrian stepped out, smiling, not the polished business smile, but something softer. "I couldn't stop thinking about your daughter's wish," Adrian said. He handed over documents. Inside were plans for a fully equipped auto repair shop, paid for, rent covered for 5 years, and a job offer not as an employee, but as a partner. Tears filled the man's eyes. "Why?" he asked quietly. Adrian glanced at the girl, who was peeking from behind the door. "Because she reminded me that fixing engines is easy. Fixing lives is harder and more important." The girl ran up and hugged Adrian's leg without asking. For the first time in a long time, Adrian didn't flinch at human touch. He laughed, a real laugh, and felt lighter than he had in decades. Months later, the garage became a success, known for honesty rather than price. Adrian still visited, not in Ferraris, but in simple cars, sometimes just to talk. The little girl would proudly tell customers, "My dad fixes cars. And he fixed a Millionaire too." Adrian realized she was right. That breakdown on the road hadn't been an inconvenience, it had been a gift. The story,